So welcome everyone to today's data analytics webinar. We'll be talking about data science, machine learning, answering a lot of questions, and it's going to be really, really interactive. I'd like to thank Ivan, Digvijay, Romil, Madhvi, right, Shibasis, Vijay, and Howard, and all of you that have actually shared your introductions. Now, equiskill.com has been in the business of data science and machine learning for more than 3+ years, and our goal is to help everyone get insights from their data to improve the state of their self, their organization, or their country. I'm actually the presenter today, and my name is Amit, and I'm the ex-vice president of Citigroup Global Analytics and Insight Division. I manage close to 490 data scientists. I'm the adjunct faculty for customer analytics at a couple of international universities. And I'm an international trainer, so I've conducted workshops globally. Now, apart from this, we also consult and we do projects in analytics. So I'm actually working on a couple of deep learning projects right now in analytics, as well as business analytics projects, right? I do blog quite a bit on Quora. So some of you, follow me on Quora.com. So thanks a lot for that. And I answer a lot of questions on Quora. I'd like to thank Fang Li for joining the webinar. I've worked with Amazon in the fraud analytics teams and GIoT teams and Citibank Global Analytics and Insights. So that's my experience today. I'll be talking you through some of the aspects of data science today. And these are some of the workshops I've conducted in Singapore and Malaysia, apart from India. We've trained thousands of professionals globally at all of the companies that you see. They all join us and they learn in their individual capacity and they learn analytics. Now, why are we here? We're here because the amount of data that is being generated globally is phenomenal, right? So every day we're looking at 2.5 quintillion bytes of data. 90% of the data has been generated just in the last 2 years, okay? That's phenomenal, but if you break that down, you begin to realize 277,000 tweets, the number of posts on Instagram, and this is all 1 minute, right? Amazon making close to $100,000 of sales in a minute, 4 million Google searches. So this means a lot of data. And how do we actually begin to analyze that data? How do we understand that data? Now, you've heard of big data. Big data basically is nothing but data that has huge volume, huge variety, is coming at us really, really fast. Like I said, it's doubling every 2 years. And you do have challenges in ensuring that it is real or not. And you've all seen the problems with fake news on Facebook and those kind of problems. So that's about veracity there, right? So anything that has these characteristics is big data. I think if you look at the hottest skills globally, analytics, features at number 2, statistical analysis and data mining globally in most of the geographies across the world, right? So you're absolutely right in joining today's webinar and trying to understand what is this all about, okay? Now, if I talk about it, data is today the new oil and the new soil. So earlier, we all know that there were, the Rockefeller Foundation, Exxon, Chevron, Mobil, and those were the large companies. But today it's all data companies, isn't it? Facebook, LinkedIn, you name it. And the shortage of data scientists, this is just the US and Canada alone, right? We're not talking about worldwide, is 190,000. And there's an equal demand in all geographies, including Europe, right? Including India, including Indonesia, Australia, right? All of the geographies have a huge demand for people that can manage, crunch this data, and there are many different roles. Now, before I go anywhere else, I'm going to talk about the 3 different types of analytics. Can someone tell me what are the 3 different types of analytics fundamentally? Yeah? Anyone wants to take a shot? Now, good guesses are welcome, bad guesses are even better, okay? Have you heard of any kind of analytics? Just put it in the chat box. Okay, so I just spoke of, for example, big data analytics. There you go. Now, could you guys put into the chat box the kind of analytics that you've heard of? Come on, folks, we want to keep this really, really interactive. The style of this webinar is not to make it one way. I want your inputs, so please do start chiming in with your types of analytics. What have you heard of? Okay, so I've got stream analytics, okay. Any more? Right, how many of you have heard of Okay, I've got predictive from Madhvi. Welcome, Madhvi, to the webinar. Right, okay. Business analysis, descriptive, says Howard. Okay, fantastic. Right, so just to break this down in really simple terms, right, there are fundamentally only three different types of analytics. And these are the types of analytics that you see here on your screen now, right? So you've got descriptive, you've got predictive, and you've got prescriptive analytics. And you can see on the left hand side that descriptive analytics is about hindsight or looking at things that happened in the past, while predictive analytics is about insight, right, and understanding, what are the reasons why it happened. And prescriptive analytics is all about foresight. But I want to give you some examples, right, and share some simple words that you may not forget. Okay, the most important word, when I talk about pardon me, there we go. Right, the most important thing when I talk about descriptive analytics is what is going on in the business or what is going on in the country or on the internet. The moment you try to answer the question what, okay, you typically answer this question with reports, you answer it with some metrics, you answer it with visualizations, you answer it with some exceptions and alerts in some cases, like credit card transactions, generate alerts. Your credit card generates a report every month on the total credit card spend. You might even get a spend analyzer with some images and some visualizations, right? And some drill downs. Now, all of this is talking about the past. Let's take the example of sales. And if sales went down by 10% last month, okay, and that is what is going on in a business, then the next question is, if sales went down by 10%, what's the next question that this head of sales is going to ask? And it's a simple question, starts with W. It's a three-letter word, and all of you can guess what this is. Keep going. All right, absolutely, you got it right. Why did this happen? Okay, and the moment you're asking for reasons as to why things happened the way they happened, you need to use predictive analytics or data science in order to predict things and understand, first of all, analyze why they happened the way they happened, and then be able to model it, which is create a formula that can predict this outcome in the future, for example, sales, and forecast this for the months that are going to come, so that we don't get surprised in the months that are going to come. Okay, so if all of that is predictive analytics, the last piece really is what we call prescriptive analytics. And it's not enough to know why sales went down. For example, if sales went down because we don't have discounts right now, or people are holding on to the holiday, they're waiting for the holidays to arrive and they're looking for the Black Friday sale or the holiday sales, right, New Year sales, then the next question is, okay, that's all fine, but we're a business and we need to make sure that we keep running. So it's a simple question. It starts with H, and can someone tell me what this is? And boom, right? So how do we actually improve our business? And so if you've received, discount coupons from Uber, right? And, Uber says, well, this week, we're going to give you 20% off on any ride that you take from 3 p.m. To 6 p.m. All right. So why is Uber giving you that discount? Option A could be that Uber loves you. And then option B could be that Uber isn't actually getting a lot of people to take rides between 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Now, which one do you think it is? Is it A or B? Let's keep going. Okay. And by the way, I'm not saying, and thanks a lot, guys, I'm not saying that Uber doesn't love you, but it's probably B, isn't it? It's probably going to be that. Right, okay, there you go. You now know the three different types of analytics. And if you're wondering, what is big data analytics, right? And you're going to ask me, oh, this is all fine, but can you please tell me big data analytics because I've heard so much about it? Well, whenever you work on any of these, all right, and, the size of the data is big, okay? Let's take an example. Let's say it's greater than 5 GB. That's definitely very big data. Or if I take greater than 2 TB, terabytes, that's definitely big data. So when you work on a combination of any of these techniques, okay, even the simplest technique that I spoke of can become very hard to do, like pulling out reports. Okay, sounds easy, but it's not going to be easy if you've got a huge amount of data. So you cannot use traditional tools like SQL, you'd end up using Hive, which is a big data tool for querying, isn't it? So big data analytics is nothing but running any of these three kinds of analytics on really, really big data, which has the four characteristics that I just talked about a short while ago. And these are the four characteristics here. It's got huge volume. It's got a lot of variety. It's got text, images, numbers, video. It's coming at you really fast, and you don't know if it's true or if it's false, right? And the moment you have those four V's, you're talking about big data. Okay, now the next question is, and I get this from a lot of people, what does a data analyst do? What does a data scientist do? What is this ML engineer, right? And here are the answers, right? So there are overlaps, okay? Data scientist, a data analyst, and someone who's working in ML or AI, they've got significant overlaps in what they do, right? To take an example, I have here data analysts who work all the way from querying the data up to sort of, building some basic models. You've got data scientists who also need to do some amount of, cleaning of the data, some amount of reporting, and they work all the way up to creating, predictions and recommendations on how to take things forward, like association rules that you see on websites. And I'll explain that to you in a short while. You also have ML or AI engineers who are actually, not even, using just statistical methods. They're trying to use the power of computing, the tremendous GBs that you see on those hard drives, as well as forget the hard drives. Today on the cloud, you could take a machine that has, for example, 32 GB, not of hard disk space, folks, 32 GB of RAM, right? And that is some serious computing capacity there, right? So, all right, there you go. So you now know that there are overlaps between these jobs. These jobs are not watertight compartments. There are significant overlaps, and you should be prepared to do some humble work before you move ahead to do some really, really cool work in this industry, right? Okay, now the next question is, what's the most in-demand job? Is it data analyst? Is it data scientist? Actually, like I just said, you see a significant overlap between data analysts and data scientists. So some companies like Citibank may actually call you a data analyst, and you would work on the same work that you would work on in other companies like Mu Sigma that might call you a data scientist, and yet the work is the same. So I actually would not sort of get into that debate or dialogue. I'd probably say that you need to grow through the system. If you're beginning your career, you're going to start with a data analyst or a junior data scientist, and then move up the ranks to a data scientist, senior data scientists, right? And then you have chief data scientists, okay? And then you have chief analytics officers in companies or chief data officers, okay? And then finally, you could get to be the CEO like Mark Zuckerberg, okay? There you go. All right, so I hope I answered that question. I'm going to move ahead now, and we're going to talk about some of the applications of analytics and quickly walk you through some of the applications. Thank you so much for your feedback. I'm glad that your question got answered. Now, if any of you have questions, what I should probably do is just pause here on this slide for a second, right? So Ria, Ramesh, Rick, if you guys have questions, Mark, just throw me your questions, and then I'm going to move ahead in a minute or so. Ivan, right? Fang Li, good to see you again. Howard, good to see you. All right. Okay. Throw me your questions in the chat box, and I'm going to wait for a quick second, and then I'm going to move on now. We've got some interesting demos today. Okay. All right. So I'm assuming at this point, we actually don't have a lot of questions, and that's perfectly fine. I'll keep going ahead, okay? Now, here are some of the applications of data science. A lot of people ask, can you actually tell us how this works? So let's take some examples. Let's take the recommendation engines on LinkedIn, okay? Now, before that, let me just walk you through the images that I have here, right? So I've got retail sector here, which is Walmart, Costco. All of those companies have got risk here, so which is JP Morgan Risk Analytics, the European banking norms, the CBIL norms to ensure that banks and financial institutions do not get into a lot of challenges. You do know now that Wells Fargo Bank recently got slapped with more than $2 billion of fines because of irregularities. You've got e-commerce, so you've got Amazon.com, you've got Flipkart, you've got Jabong, you've got a bunch of sites there, right? You've got Zappos, and then you've got healthcare, you've got telecom here, and finally you've got social media, right? Let's take some examples. The moment you add someone on LinkedIn, you get a lot of recommendations saying that, well, you just added this person. Would you want to add some people that are in their network to your network, right? And those LinkedIn suggestions, they're all and I'm sorry about this. I've got a query which is an individual career query, right, from Rahul. So Rahul, I will answer your query. Could you just hold these individual queries and career queries till the end of the webinar? And I will surely answer those questions, okay? Thank you so much. All right, so recommendation engines, for example, when Amazon says, hey, would you buy a wireless mouse, all right? And what's the next product that Amazon recommends down below? They say, well, the people that bought the wireless mouse also bought what? Can you give me some examples? They also purchased what? Come on, guys. There you go, isn't it? So would you like to buy a mouse pad? Would you like to buy a combo? Would you like to buy a wireless keyboard? Any of those things. Now, this happens by using recommendation engines, and in two ways. The first technique is called market basket analytics, right? Which is based on something called association rules, right? Now, you don't need to worry about it, but you should know about this, okay? So this is basically a way that you can recommend things that I should purchase on the basis of what I have purchased, okay? All right, so that's one example of analytics there for you. Now I'm going to take a couple of more examples, right, just to make this even more interesting. Let's talk about A/B testing. There we go. And we're going to move away from the world of business and move to the elections. Specifically, I'm going to talk about the Barack Obama re-election campaign bid, where they sent out thousands of emails and they got millions of dollars for the Barack Obama re-election campaign. And the way they did that was that they sent out many different emails to a sample of voters in the US. And you can think of it as email A, email B, C, D, E. All right, and the first one may have said, would you like to contribute to the Democrat re-election campaign bid? And that's email A. Now, email B would have said, I, Barack Obama, request your contribution to my re-election campaign bid. Now, some of you may like to, respond to email A. Others may like, that Barack wrote to them directly, right? Mr. President wrote to me. That's kind of cool, the way I'm looking at it. So you figure out which emails are likely to get you a lot of contributions depending on the type of users that actually click on those emails. So what do you check for? You check for the open rate, and then you check for the click rate, and finally you check for the donations. Okay, now basis that you figure out what kind of email is going to work for you in the re-election campaign bid. This is known as A/B testing. All right, so you've now got a flavor of A/B testing, you've got a flavor of recommendation engines, right? And then when you talk about upselling, cross-selling modeling, right? Or when you talk about forecasting the sales, let me talk about sales forecasting here, right? Or predicting fraud, right? Whether fraud is going to happen or not, okay? Some of these, are simple yes or no kind of outputs that you're looking for. For example, is a particular transaction on a credit card fraudulent or is it not? That's a yes or a no transaction. It's a binary outcome. On the other hand, when you look at the sales forecast, that's not a binary outcome. That's actually a number. So you're trying to find out if, for example, sales was if sales is going to be $2.2 million, or do you think this month we're just going to hit sales of, let's say, around $3 million, or do you think it's going to be a great month, maybe we're going to hit $5 million? Okay, now when you need to predict an actual number versus when you need to predict yes or no, there are two different kinds of algorithm which are really popular in the industry, right? And you should definitely know these algorithms, right? So one is regression, and there are two kinds of regression algorithms, right? So Howard says association rules, very interesting. Howard, absolutely. And Vishnu Reddy, says that I have one big doubt. I have knowledge of R programming. Someone is telling you to learn Python, and I'm a big oh, you can learn both R and Python, right? They're both open source languages. They're fantastic. I'm going to answer that very shortly. And Howard has already answered that R is a great choice for data science, while Python is a great choice going forward for machine learning and other things, right? Now, someone has already answered this in the chat box that for this kind of yes or no output, which algorithm should we use? It's called logistic regression. Whenever you need a yes or a no outcome, for example, a user is going to stop using AT&T next month, right? There you go. If I'm AT&T, I'm paranoid about people who plan to stop using AT&T and move to some other telecom provider. So how do I find out whether they're going to try it or not? Again, you use logistic regression. Anything that requires a yes or a no answer. But if you need actual numbers to be outputted, depending on a lot of different factors, then you probably are going to use linear regression. Now, it's kind of hard today to take you through all of that, okay? And these are things that you do need to learn. And it's really, really easy. I think one of you says, I know nothing about linear and logistic regression. Okay, no worries at all. Here we go. I'm going to just make this nice and easy for you. You just go to equiscale.com, our website, and there are a couple of free tutorials on the website, which you see over here. We've got some really cool tutorials on linear and logistic regression, which I think should be very handy, okay? And let me open up the free tutorials here. We've got a sentiment analysis for the new Moto G6. All right, there you go. You know what? We can actually run this live for you today. Wow, there you go. What are people saying about the Moto G6, right? What are they feeling? Do they like it? Do they not like it? Now, here's the sentiment scores for the Moto G6, okay? And in the same blog, the tutorial section, you've got basic tutorials in R. You've got the logistic regression, understanding logistic regression. There you go. This is a great tutorial for you. I'm going to just share this out with everyone. Okay, there we go. And I've talked about real world examples of logistic regression and how it actually works. Okay, and similarly, I think on the same page, you've got a really nice tutorial on linear regression. Okay, so if you want to read about that as well, you just go back and you read about the introduction to linear regression. There you go. Right, so that solves your problem there. I think there will be some fantastic resources, but there's even cooler stuff up there. We'll do a sentiment analysis and a word cloud today for the FIFA World Cup, and we'll see what people are thinking and feeling. So what I've done here, folks, is highlighted for you a lot of applications of analytics. Now, what I want you to do is go and read about these. For example, customer segmentation. What algorithm should I use for this? So the algorithm that is used across the world in all companies, really, really popular, is called the K-means algorithm. Now, don't worry about it if you don't know it. It's nothing. It's really easy, okay? So if you've got a lot of transactions, right? Let's say you've got many transactions here, you've got a bunch of transactions here, and you've got a bunch of transactions here, right? So what happens is the K-means algorithm, figures out that these transactions are similar to each other, and that's cluster one. And these are similar to each other too. That's cluster number two. And then there's a third cluster of these transactions. Now, if these are customers, you probably say this is customer segment number one. You send them different offers, different emails. And then you say, oh, you know what? This is customer segment number two. You send them different offers and different emails. And these are the most loyal customers, segment three. So you send them the new product offers and ask them for their opinion. You ask them for their reviews on Google, right? So this is how you do customer segmentation and how you go and apply it. Now, any of these techniques, if you guys, read up on it a little bit more, I think it'll be a lot of value add for you. And if you look at the, sectors that are using analytics a lot, I'd say telecom is currently actually the number one user of analytics globally. And then after that, banking and financial services are number two, for sure. Now, I'm just talking about the sheer volume of jobs, the sheer volume of work. For sure, if you look at the social media companies, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, they're actually, completely based on analytics, but the volume of work is higher in telecom, banking, healthcare, all of these in this order, right? Now I've got some questions here, and okay, yeah. So people can hear me, and if someone cannot, please log out and log back in. All right, and you'll be fine. Right? Okay. Here we go. So banks are using analytics a lot to figure out how they can do debranching. There you go. All right. And there's a bank in Europe. If you can tell me the name, I'll be really happy. That bank has 0 branches. Okay. So it's a 100% online bank, right? And the whole thing is banks are beginning to realize that with the amount of scrutiny that they have from regulators and the amount of analytics that goes into just remaining compliant with the rules of the European Union or the America or Asia, those are really hard rules. The only way they're going to survive is if they go online. And today, the number one competitor for banks isn't another bank. It's actually softwares like PayPal, right, which are replacing the need for you to actually even go to a bank or write a check or cut a demand draft. You don't need to do that anymore because you could use PayPal. Or to take another example of India, you've got something called Paytm, which is a billion-dollar company, right? And analytics is proving that the traditional companies actually are going to suffer at the hands of those that use tech and analytics to their advantage. But not just banks. I mean, today even HR woke up in the year 2013, and there's a tremendous amount of work now going on in HR analytics because 82% of business leaders didn't actually trust the talent data. So predictive hiring is happening, where they're trying to predict if the person that they hire is going to stay in the company, if they're going to be successful in the company. And it's coming from the fact that CEOs are saying, hey, look, we want a massive amount of data, and a lot of them are really unhappy, right? So all the orange colors that you see here, these are unhappy CEOs. They actually don't know what's going on, okay, with the HR data. And so what I'm getting to, folks, is that even the support functions like finance, HR, right, beginning to use analytics to their advantage, and they're beginning to see positive outcomes, which you see on the screen over here, right? Now, some of you talked about the skills that you need in order to succeed in analytics. And this is not about you quitting your job and moving into analytics full time, okay? So I did that 3 years ago, and I'm not saying it can't be done. What I'm saying is a lot of you can learn analytics, and my first recommendation to folks is, the moment I say analytics, they say job, right? How many jobs can I get? But I'd say what you want to focus on first is learning the concepts, okay? And the second thing that I hear after job sometimes is the tools, right? I keep saying it's really important to first learn the concepts. Like today you learned, if you need to use an algorithm to give you a yes or no output, then which algorithm would you use? Can you all reply in the chat box? Now I think all of you should be able to reply. Nice and easy, yeah? Come on, folks. There you go. Yeah, it's logistic regression, isn't it? And if you need to predict actual numbers instead of yes or no outcomes, then it's linear regression. Now, here's the funny part, okay? You can do logistic regression algorithm, okay? And let me just take the example of logistic regression. You can do this in Excel. You can do it in MATLAB, okay? You can do it in Weka. You can do it in R. You can do it in Python. You can also do it in Java. You can do it in da 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 da. So what I'm trying to get to is, please do not focus on the tools, okay? Tools come and go. You want to pick the tool that's popular. This is not what you want to focus on. What you want to focus on is the concept and the technique of which technique is going to solve which problem for you. And more than half the times, you're not even going to be the one to take the decision of whether to use Python or R, because the client is going to take that decision for you, or your company is going to take that decision for you. So the chances of you getting hired or being useful in an economy is more if you learn a combination of a couple of tools. Another mistake is a lot of people think that only programming is important, because it's not. You do need to know one data visualization tool really well, okay? For example, Tableau or Power BI, right? Okay. And before I get to this slide, I think there's something really important that I missed, right? Now, let me just spell this out for you here. 70% of the work in analytics is descriptive analytics. It is not, the cool data science, ML, and machine learning that you're hearing about. Okay, it's just not. And then after that, another 30% is actually data science and predictive analytics kind of work. Okay, and I would say barely 10% of the work in the industry right now is around the cool areas of ML, deep learning, and AI that you keep hearing about all the time. All right, so I've actually put these numbers out there for you, because I want you to understand that there is never a point in trying to focus on this over here, this 10%, unless you're really solid at your predictive, and there's no point getting to the predictive unless you're really solid at your descriptive analytics. And I'm today working on a project, just to share the project details with you. It's a car company, and they do something to do with cars, pickups and drops of cars. Okay, and I'm working on everything from descriptive analytics all the way to images of the cars, and trying to figure out damage on the cars. I'm trying to figure out the number plate, the number of seats, is it a hatchback, sedan, USV. I'm trying to figure out all of this using the images, by using deep learning, and we're using an algorithm in deep learning called DCNN. All right, and we'll talk about that later. It's a little complex, but the whole point is that this is probably the higher end of the project. Almost 80% of the project is all about forecasting, optimization, supply chain analytics, reports, financial reports, HR predictive analytics. Okay, now with that as a background, let me talk about some of the skills that you need to know. And someone has said Tableau versus Power BI, and I think the answer that I got from one of you is that let me see here. The answer I got is Tableau is very good, and I would kind of differ on that. Okay, so here's the thing. I would actually go with the Gartner Magic Quadrant for the year 2018. So let me just pull out the Gartner Magic Quadrant here for you. Okay, there we go. And I'll just paste it here in a presentation. Since I've got this question, it's good to sort of give you something to think about. Okay, I'll share this presentation with all of you, so no worries at all. So Tableau versus Power BI, okay, or both. And my answer to you would be both. And here's why. There you go. And it's not so hard, okay, because in our course, the Analytics Accelerator certification, we're actually covering both Tableau and Power BI. I just don't get what's the big deal. I mean, it's super easy, right? There you go. The reason why I'd say both is that in the year 2018, as well as the year 2017, in the Gartner's Magic Quadrant, Tableau and Microsoft Power BI are joint leaders, right, in BI, right? And closely followed by ClickView, okay? Right, that's the number 3 tool out there in the market. Also pretty good tool. So I would actually think about learning both, and there are enough programs where you can pick up both of these tools, as opposed to just trying to get in depth in one of them. For example, let me just share here that we have the Data Analytics Accelerator certification. And as you can notice in the certification, the tools that are covered are multiple tools. So you've got R, you've got Advanced Excel, Tableau, Power BI, SQL. So all of these tools are covered in the certification. And you can learn, if you choose the right programs on the internet, you should be able to learn Power BI tools that are really important, as well as Advanced Tableau. I don't see a reason why both of those cannot be learned together, right? So just sharing this curriculum with you guys here online in the chat box. Just a second here. There you go. I've just shared the course page with you as well. Okay, I'll just get back to my presentation here and talk about the skills that you actually require. See, all of you already have some of the skills, right? So no matter who you are, you either have knowledge of some kind of business, or some kind of domain like finance, or you have some tech skills. You worked on Excel a little bit, but not so much on R or Tableau. Or you've actually learned data science, by which I mean you have some ideas around statistics, algorithms, all of that. But a lot of the times you're missing one of these 3 skills. And what you need to do is you need to sort of gather all 3 of them and be able to apply all 3 of them to be successful in gaining output from your data, right? So no matter who you are, you already have part of what you need to know. Okay, so you have some of it already, and then the rest is what you need to acquire. That's how I would sort of put it, okay? And that puts you in a position of advantage, because I think the beauty of analytics is that everybody can use their current knowledge. You don't need to be a programmer, or you don't need to be someone who knows a lot of finance to do analytics. These things can be picked up, okay? Again, the source of this particular image that I have here is again Gartner. So you should read through and follow Gartner a little bit on the analytics piece there, okay? All right. Let me see if I have a question there. Ivanshu says, thank you so much. All right. Fantastic. All right. Thank you, Ivanshu. All right. So Tableau and Power BI, I've talked about the tools. I think the most important, thing to know about tools is, and I don't mean to, I don't mean any disrespect, but, tools are for fools, right? So if you focus only on a tool, in a couple of years, the tool is going to change. So if you are someone that just focused on ClickView and spent the last 10 years working on ClickView, where are you now when Tableau and Power BI are dominating the market and ClickView is on the verge of going down, into the niche players or the challengers, right? So I would not focus on the tools, right? Okay. Right. So let me now come to R versus Python, another really popular debate. My question to you is, why even get into this R versus Python debate? Okay. And I know we've got the FIFA World Cup coming up, and I keep hearing Ronaldo versus Messi. Those are two great players, right? I keep hearing Nadal versus Federer, right? How many of you know Nadal and Federer? Okay. Can you please say Y in the chat box, or N if you don't know them? There you go. I'm beginning to get responses now. Ivanshu says yes. Okay, a lot of you do. Okay. Now, whole point is those are two greats there, right? So why do you want to compare? There's never going to be a conclusive answer, as to who is the greater of those two, right? So let's talk about what's really good about them rather than focus on, other things. Nadal is probably the greatest on clay ever. He has probably one of the best, top spin forehand shots, right? Federer closes out points in, let's say, on 3 or 4 shots or 5 shots. He never gets into prolonged battles. He's really efficient, right? He's classy. Okay, so there's strengths that each one of these players have. So what's R good at? Okay, R has really good packages, right? And we'll look at one of the packages that R has, the sentiment package today for text analytics, okay? And R's packages are its strength. And scientists have been working on R since the 90s, just about the same time that coders were working on Python. But the only difference is that while both of them started in the early 90s, 93, 94, R was actually designed for data science, while Python was not designed only for data science. It's a general purpose programming language, all right? So it has production capability. So the goals were different, and therefore, over a period of time in 2014, let's say I look at 2014, 15, 16, 17, right? So R was kind of dominating, up to 16 for data science, and then it kind of stayed where it did or came down a little bit. But Python, it was kind of below R initially up to 2016, 17, but now Python has become a little more popular than R. So the difference is very nominal. It's probably around 49 and 53% of the market share, okay, if you're looking at the numbers. But R has really good statistical packages. It's intelligent, cunning, works really fast on data crunching, statistical formulas are really good in R. It has a lot of brain power on mathematics rather than muscle power, okay? But it can only handle as much data as the RAM of your machine. So for example, if your computer, your PC or your Mac has 4 GB worth of RAM, then R can only handle 4 GB, okay? But you can work around that. So you can install R on the cloud. And once you install it on the cloud, you can buy a machine from Amazon or Microsoft for as many GBs as you like. So what is R? R is like Batman, right? Intelligent, cunning. He's not as much about brawn or superpower, can't actually turn the planet around, okay, like Superman can. Python is very powerful, okay, as a programming language. To take an example, if you have, 4 GB worth of RAM and you've got, let's say 38 GBs that are free on your hard disk. R is not capable of it, but Python can combine these two and actually use it as 42 GB of RAM. Okay, so it's been designed for muscular power, a lot of hard computing capacity, very powerful. It is elegant. So there are people who say Python is easier to learn, okay, especially if you've had a Java background. But then, it doesn't quite have the statistical libraries that R has. Now, a lot of people are trying to work Python and add libraries, and they've been successful in adding libraries like the pandas. And let me just put down some of these words for you here. So you have the pandas. I'm not talking about the Kung Fu Panda here. You've got scikit-learn, okay? You've got matplotlib for images or for graphs. And then you've got more libraries like TensorFlow. Okay, if I just put that there for you, for deep learning, right? So R is making a serious effort, and the R community is making a serious effort to become as good as R. I'm sorry, Python community is making a serious effort to become as good as R, and R has some superb, packages. For example, let's take ggplot, which is the package for visualization in R. Arguably one of the best packages of visualization in the whole world. Okay, there you go. I think Python can be used as a production language also. Now, if you do not know what is production, could you please say no in the chat box so I'll answer that question? If you don't know what is a production tool versus a non-production tool. Okay, all right, guys, thank you so much. I really like your honesty there. I'm going to just invest a minute there and explain this to you, right? Okay, so the way it works is that, you have a database, right? Okay, like let's say Oracle. A lot of you have heard of Oracle. And then you have an application, right? And the nice way of looking at an application is I can call it an app, right? Now this app actually, works with the users, and here's us, the users, and we're actually downloading this app on our cell phones, and we're working on this app. Now, the moment you work on the app and you update, for example, your date of birth, right? Let's just take that one example, okay? Let's say date of birth. Now, that date of birth, you enter it into the app on your cell phone. The app then enters it into production in Oracle, and I just used the word production there. And then the data goes live on the Oracle server, production server. Now this is production capability, essentially writing data to the database and putting things into production. Okay, or for example, another example of production would be applying a discount code. Okay, so let's say you get a discount code called NY200, right, which entitles you, I'm sorry, NY20, which entitles you to 20% off on a particular product on a particular website. Now you got this coupon from another website, which is a coupon website, right? Let's call that CW. Now you apply this coupon into your app, and let me use a different color here. And if the app is developed in Python Django, app is capable of then applying that to the database, and the price changes and you make your purchase. So you buy, right? Now these are all changes that are happening live in the database in a production environment. This is known as a production environment. Okay, R is not the language that is used for production. Okay, R is used only to analyze. So how is R used? Okay, the way R is used is it is capable of interacting with this database. So I'll just draw a database here. And then you have R, our really cunning data science software. It can pull data from the database, and then it can do a lot of work on that data. So I'm just going to represent that by this box, and it can crunch that data. It's a grinder, and then it can pull out really, really useful, meaningful insights and reports from that data. And so the output that you get from R is a lot of really cool insights, reports, graphs, charts, and data. Now, if you need to put that into production, you would then have to use some other tool. Okay, let's say tool number 2, like SAS or Python or any other tool, and then put that back into production in the database. Okay, So that's the difference, between R and Python in terms of production capability. Now, I hope that's clear to everyone now. Please say yes in the chat box if you understood what is production versus what is an analytical tool. Okay. Okay, great. Thank you, Ivanshu. Rahul, Ria. Okay, thanks a ton for that. Right, I'm going to move ahead and we're going to do some interesting stuff now. Sibasis, thanks for your answer. All right, so we'll, also share with you that those of you that joined today, those who join the Analytics Accelerator certification also get, a certification, which is like this, and this goes to your LinkedIn page, right? And there's a lot of our alumni across the world, typically in the US, Canada, and then we've got folks in London, we've got folks in Dubai, India, Jakarta, Indonesia, Nigeria. Those are the places where we have a lot of learners who join our course online. And there are specific discount codes for you guys. We're going to get into the demo now. Today, just by virtue of having joined today, I will be sharing with you the links to join the course with discounts. So currently the course is 21,900 rupees on the website, which is 349 US dollars. It's actually 349 as per the current exchange rates, right? And it's going to be discounted. So all of you will get this for only 18,900 or 289, and the course starts next Sunday. And I'll share these links across with you. Please take advantage of this before Friday next week. We'll be giving this offer till Friday, and go to the course page and have a look at the course page. What I've also done here is I've put for you all of the cool stuff that we shared today. Okay, let me just see here. I've put this in the presentation, okay? So the LinkedIn hard skills, the Quora profile, Tableau, we'll be talking about Tableau. All of this information, R versus Python, is all there on the course page. There's a couple of other softwares that I want you to look at. Airbnb Superset, Google Data Studio. This one's picking up really fast. It's free. So do have a look at it, okay? I think it's a good use of your time to understand the capabilities of some of these free tools. Okay, so let's actually skip demo 1. We'll first go to demo number 2, and this is demo number 1, which we'll do in a short while. But we'll move to natural language processing or text analytics in R, and we'll look at the word cloud of the World Cup, right? And I'll show you and I'll walk you through the code. Now, what I have here is, a code that you should not be afraid of. It's not so hard. And I explain it to you line by line very quickly as we go through it. And then we're going to sort of have a look at the word cloud. So let's imagine we want to see, and first we'll see the RStudio environment before we see the word cloud in the full screen. So I've made my admin the host now, so he'll share his screen with all of you guys, and I'll walk you through the environment. So Pallab, if you could please share your screen with everyone. Here we go. The World Cup is around the corner, and we thought we'd quickly have a look at, what people are saying on Twitter. Can you imagine that you have the rights and the access to pull random tweets that people are sharing, out there, and understand those tweets, okay? And that's what I'm going to show you now. Here we go. So we can all see the screen now, and we'll look at the RStudio. And first we'll go to the top of the code. And I want to make sure that all of you are very comfortable with the RStudio. Now, how many of you are seeing R for the very first time? Could you say yes in the chat box if you're seeing it for the first time? Yeah. Okay, that's great. So don't you guys be afraid, okay? It's nice and easy. It's actually split into 4 parts, right? And I'll just talk about those 4 parts here before we show you the code. So you've got this whole section here, right? In the RStudio, it's a first part, the top left corner. This is where you sort of write codes, okay? And, let's just write the code for you, 2 plus 2. Okay, let's execute that for you. So Pallab, would it be possible right on top to execute 2 plus 2 for everybody? Right on top. Okay, here we go. So what we're doing is we're just executing the code 2 plus 2. Okay, and what do you see down below? So all of you see down below the output 4. Here you go, at the bottom left corner of the screen. Now this is your output. Okay, it's as simple as that, right? So you execute codes on the top, You can add libraries as well. So you can see all of the libraries, the packages that I talked about, which R is really cool at. So look, we've added the package for Twitter to connect to Twitter. We've added the package for word cloud. We've added a couple of more packages called the sentiment graph in R, and a couple of more packages here. And we've also added the ggplot package that I spoke of some time ago. Okay, so this is how you sort of add all the packages and then start using those packages or those libraries in R. Okay, what we've also done is we've connected to Twitter. So this is possible for you to do as well. Okay, so this is all confidential stuff here. This is our Twitter password. We'll change this password, right, Pallab, later. So don't worry about it, even though you can see this password. This is free of cost. Okay, and if you want to do this, we have a blog again on our website, which will show you how to do this. All right, so we've actually done this. Now, once we've done that, we set up Twitter and we say FIFA World Cup tweets, right? And we search all the tweets for the FIFA World Cup. And we say n equal to 500. So we look at 500 latest tweets in the World Cup and see what's going on. Now you can see on the bottom right corner over here, this is what's going on, right? So you can see here Russia, you can see football, Australia, FIFA World Cup, watch it. Frank, Iceland, streaming, so it's streaming, you can watch it. Where can I watch this on a streaming basis? There's a lot of curiosity around Argentina, isn't it? And a lot of curiosity around Messi and whether he can do it alone. By the way, a lot of people are saying that he can't because the rest of the team isn't quite there, right? Okay, but a lot of people, recently spoke of Qatar, right? And Portugal versus Spain is a match that I'm assuming is about to, happen in some time from now. So you can sort of survey what people are saying and how often are they saying it. And the World Cup, the word world is used most often. And that's why it's the biggest word. And so the size of the word sort of denotes how much it's being used on Twitter. Okay, there you go. Now let's take, for example, I don't know if it's possible to quickly run the sentiment graph, right? So suppose we want to see what are the sentiments that people have about the World Cup. Now we'll zoom into this. Okay, kaboom, and here we go. So in terms of the sentiments, I think what you can see is that there's a huge amount of anticipation, right? People are like, wow, they're really excited, but they want to see what's going to happen. Okay, they want to see if their country is going to win. So it's also about my country. If your country isn't playing there, then you're probably rooting for one of the countries like France or Italy or Argentina. So who's going to win? Now, this is an unusually high, anticipation. I've never seen such a high anticipation. Probably the last time I saw such a high anticipation was around the US elections. Okay, so people were like really worried about that. Okay, but you also see, apart from the anticipation, a lot of positive sentiment. So here we go. So down below you can notice here that there's so much positive sentiment around this World Cup. There is a little less trust than I would have liked. Okay, if you're a brand, you would like people to trust what's going on. So there's probably some, worries there. Okay, but there's also a lot of joy. People are very happy that the World Cup has come. It's arrived. Okay, so you've got to wait 4 years for this to happen, right? There you go. Now, right now, you don't see stuff like anger. But when something crazy happens, like Zinedine Zidane decides to butt, another player on the head with his head, you will see a lot of anger happen here as well on Twitter. Okay, so this is known as a sentiment graph. But the way you apply this in business in analytics is, can someone tell me how could you apply the sentiment graph on business? Anyone? Absolutely, right? So product reviews, there you go. So for a second, I'm going to actually, take the host again, and I'm going to share with you my screen now. Yeah. And R is super easy. Okay. So you guys, don't you worry. And I'm going to go to the blog on the Moto G6, right? It's free tutorial, sentiment analysis for Moto G6. So when you click on this link here, I'm just going to copy this and share this with you guys here in the chat box. Of course, I'm going to paste it in our presentation as well so that you can refer to it later. So you'll notice that in this particular sentiment analysis, we've talked about the sentiment of the new Moto G6, right? So let me increase the size here a little bit and scroll down. There you go. So these are the reviews on Amazon for the new Moto G6. And what we've done is we've sort of created a text file. We've removed all of this information that you don't need, right? So there's no sentiment in the stars per se, right? There's no sentiment in, for example, the size or the year of the comment or whether it's a verified purchase or not. Now, these are not, sentiments. So we've actually cleaned the data. We've removed all of that. And what we're left with is just the raw corpus of text, okay? So stuff like it's got slow motion capture, the finishing is way too good, okay, it's lightweight, it's a breeze to handle this phone, I like the screen, the build quality is excellent, right? So these are kind of like, the word corpus comments. So when you put these together, you upload your libraries, which you saw, and then you connect to that, on the desktop, to the notepad file where you've copied all of these reviews or you've scraped it off the internet, and then here you go. You get the sentiment graph for the Moto G6 on Amazon. And you guys can see here, a short while ago, I just told you that the anticipation was really high, for the World Cup. Now, do you see the gap between the anticipation and positives here? So anticipation is because, can someone tell me why was there so much anticipation around the Moto G6? Please put it in the chat box. Why is this anticipation so high? What was about to happen with the Moto G6 in some countries in the world? Come on, guys. When is anticipation high around a cell phone? Come on. You guys can answer. Try. New features. Okay. Okay. Yep. So either when you have new features or you have a new model or you have a new version or you have a new release coming up, right? Okay. So in a certain market, then the anticipation tends to become high. So you can see a lot of positivity and quite a lot of trust in this brand, right? So the trust score here is close to 175, which is pretty cool, and the positivity score is actually more than 250. Okay, there you go. Not a lot of anger or disgust around this phone, because sometimes that tends to happen with online reviews. Okay, so you now know how this is applied. I just showed you the Football World Cup, but I've also now shown you how this is applied in the world of business, right? There you go. Right, but this is not it. I think there's a lot of stuff apart from this that is important in the world of analytics. For example, building descriptive dashboards, right? So how do you do that? So the second part of what we're going to talk about today very quickly is a quick Tableau demo for you to show you how quickly we can arrive at stuff in Tableau. For example, if I want to see how is the sales doing across the world, right? And I want to understand that very quickly. Actually, it's all drag and drop. So I take all the orders and I drop it here, nice and easy. So what did I do right now? This is so easy. You guys will want to try it when you go home, okay? So I drop the orders over here. That's it, a drag and drop. And I get all my data down below, right? And I can even see, which one is a number. If it's a number, it typically has a hash. I can see which ones are characters, like these order IDs, because I can see an ABC. I can even see, which are date and time stamped fields, because they come with this little calendar kind of icon there. Okay, so all of that is visible. But then, what I'll do is I'll work on this data live. So you can all see here the connection is a live connection, and Tableau can work live in connection with almost every database in the world. Okay, I want to see the sales in different countries. So how do I do that? One of the biggest problems is, what kind of graph do I use for what kind of data? And that can really confuse people. But watch what happens in Tableau. It's got this fantastic feature called Show Me on the top right corner. So I'll click on Show Me, and it's all grayed out, okay? But as I choose country, and as I choose sales by using the control button on my laptop, it recommends the world symbol map. So it's a recommendation engine where you can choose, the fields that you're interested in, and it'll recommend bubble graphs, box plots, tree maps, all of these, right? And the biggest and the best recommendation is this one here, okay? So what we're going to do is, I'm going to double click on this, and someone says it's similar to Power BI. Absolutely. So I'm going to double click on symbol maps, and I come to this view here. but now I want to see the sales in all the countries. It's so easy to increase the size and add your labels, kaboom, and I can see the sales in all the countries, right? But for the time being, I'm just going to use visuals. The power of visuals is amazing, right? I'm going to look at the sales in the US, and it's $2.297 million. Looks pretty good. It's around $2.3 million. And let me break this down per state. All I need to do is I need to find state and drop it here on the graph. There you go. The moment I do that, it breaks it up into, sales in all of the states, across the US. Kaboom, you guys are saying, yeah. Now, as you notice, there's a lot of overlaps here, right? So how do you deal with these overlaps? You go to color, you go to opacity, just reduce it to 72% and add a nice little border. There you go. You could even reduce it a little bit more like so. So now you can see through, for example, New York, and you can see right behind New York that you've got, for example, here you've got Pennsylvania right behind New York, which is a big bubble. But are all of these states profitable or not? So if you want to ask these questions, Tableau answers them in a second, okay? Because you just take profit and drop it on top of color, and kaboom. Now you know what's going on here, right? So there are states that are not making profits. So I'm going to make profits green. I'm going to make losses red, step up my colors to 6 and use the whole color range. And the moment I do that, I can zoom into the United States and have a very quick look at what's going on there. And human beings understand visualizations more than anything else, right? So we know what's going on. Texas is, we've got challenges in Texas, Colorado, Arizona. Definitely a lot of losses in Illinois and Ohio and Pennsylvania, right? Miami here, Florida, and Oregon. But a lot of profits in Washington, where Amazon is based, and in the Silicon Valley, where everyone else is, and New York. A lot of profits there, isn't it? Okay. There you go. So it's that easy to answer questions about profitability. For example, if I want to answer the question, which cities in the UK are not profitable? So I zoom into the United Kingdom. Okay, there's no Excel sheets required. I just zoom in there. All right, there you go. And I add cities to this. Where are we here? Here we go. I add cities. There you go. The moment I add cities, I break this up into all the cities. And I immediately sort of increase the size of my bubbles here a little bit there, and I know that Birmingham, Sheffield have challenges. I'm not yet talking about Ireland, okay? But then London is usually profitable, as is Edinburgh in Scotland and a lot of other cities over here, right? Now these are the cities, right? Sheffield and Birmingham. So that's your answer, okay? You want to look at the data behind this? You just right-click, on the data, for example, and you say View Data. There you go. So you want to sort of export this data. You can actually copy the whole data, and you can export this to a CSV file in Excel. Okay. Do you want to copy the image? You can right click and you can copy the image. Do you want to go and paste this in any format you like? For example, I want my data labels below, not on the right hand side. Perfecto. Nice and easy. So I'll add this here for you, and this is sort of how Tableau works for you, right? There you go. So this is what you wanted. You wanted the data right below. You wanted the labels right below your data, and you've exported in the same format that you desired here, right? Okay. But that's not the only thing. Now, what you'll notice is that you get some interesting information along the way. Okay. So it says here, the map based on longitude and latitude have been generated. Color shows the sum of profit. Size shows the sum of sales. And the details are shown for country, state, and city. There you go, right? So you get a nice little description of your graph, which is a big plus, okay? Because you don't have to write this. You can actually copy this and even paste it on your presentation. There you go, right? A lot of benefits, but what you might not be aware of is Tableau has fantastic capabilities on analytics. So I'll take the analytics here, the analytics pane, and you can cluster all of these cities, right? And I'll drop the clusters here. I talked about clusters a short while ago, and I'll zoom out. Now we're using machine learning, okay? So Tableau has ML capabilities. So it's actually created right now 2 clusters, cluster 1 and cluster 2, okay? And there's a basis for which it has created the clusters. And these are some of the capabilities that we can use in Tableau. This is k-means clustering. Or for example, when you talk about linear regression, if you talk about the sales, right, and the sales in for different customer IDs. Okay, let's just take that example. right? And I'll just select customer ID there and sales. You can actually, do regression on the sales for different customers as well, right? Or let's say I pick up profit versus shipping cost. So I'll take some of the profits and some of the shipping cost, and I want to look at the relationship between profit and shipping cost for all the different segments. So I'll right click on segments, and I'll add that, to the picture as well. Okay, there you go. So this is all the segments, and then I can, in this I could even say for all the product categories. So I'll drop that here. Okay, there you go. I could say for all the transactions. So I'll pick up the transaction ID if I have it somewhere, or the customer ID, drop it on top of detail, and kaboom, right? I've got every transaction out there for all customers, all segments. And now I can actually run analytics. So I'll go to analytics and I'll drop the trend line, the linear regression trend line. Now you can read about linear regression on my website, equiskill.com. But basically I'm able to predict here if profit is significantly impacted by shipping cost or not. So I'll move to the full screen view. I'll come here, and you can see here that the R squared value is 0.15. What that tells you is that profit is only, impacted by shipping cost to the extent of 15%. Okay, 0.15 means 15%. And this here is the linear regression equation, or the forecast, or you can also call it the model, right? The data science model we've just built to predict how much profit is impacted by shipping cost. So look at these fantastic capabilities, and I can just rename this sheet here and just call it the profit versus shipping cost model. So if you've got questions like, oh, are our profits impacted by a shipping cost? Well, you've just answered it. So there you go. And you can actually sort of take this, copy the image, okay, and maybe like this, and move to the PowerPoint and answer questions for your business leaders, okay? So let me just take, for example, this question, profit versus shipping cost, right? So if I tell you that profit is only predicted by shipping cost to the extent of 15%, okay? Do you think that's a significant relationship, or do you think that's a very weak relationship between profit and shipping cost? That's my question to you. Is it strong as a relationship, or do you think, well, you know what, it's actually not a very strong relationship? Come on, guys. Everyone should comment. See, I showed you this equation. R squared is 0.15, which means 15%. So what will it be? Strong or weak? So let me ask you this, right? So Muhammad Iman says weak relationship, Digvijay says strong. So the chances that profit is going to be low are only 15% if shipping cost is high. So do you feel that this is a very significant relationship, or do you feel that it is a weak relationship? Shipping cost goes high, but the chances that profit goes low is only 15%. So the correct answer, and let's all clap, is by Muhammad Iman. Okay, it's actually a weak relationship. So it's a weak model. Okay, there we go. So I'll show you what is the percent of profits. That's not significant, Vijay. I'll show you guys here. It takes a little bit of understanding, but all of you can learn once you join the course. Okay, I'll just copy this image here, paste it here. I'll explain a few things to you. Do you guys have like 5 minutes for me? I can just walk you through something here. Yeah. Can you please say yes in the chat box if you have 5 minutes, or say no if you don't? Okay, you guys have some time, right? Okay. I'm going to talk about this little equation here. I'm going to talk about the equation. Which I'll just take it again here. There we go. Yeah, I'll just take this equation, go to my chart here, paste it for you, and talk about this equation. I'll explain this to you and explain how linear regression works, okay? So you guys go back with one real learning today, which will be, something that I'll be very happy about. All right, here we go. I'll just crop this a little bit so we make this equation a little bigger. Yeah, yeah, there you go. There we go. So let's talk about this a little bit here, okay? You see, there's a couple of things that you want to predict. You want to predict that is there a relationship or not, okay? Now, we're not going to use logistic regression in this case, even though it sounds like that. So let's say, is there a relation between profit and shipping cost, okay? I'll just call it profit and SC for shipping cost short, right? And you also want to, then check that is it a strong relationship, okay? So, or let me put it this way: does shipping cost impact profit significantly? Okay, let's answer these questions, these two questions. These are probably important questions. The answer to question number one lies in the p-value, okay, that you see over here, right? Now, a p-value, let me tell you how it works. It's an error, okay? Now, if a p-value is 0.05, right, it means that there is a 95% chance that there's a relationship between the two variables. So how did I get to 95? It's basically equal to, see, 0.05 is nothing but 5%, isn't it? So what is 95? It is 95 is nothing but 100 minus 5%. Okay. Another way of looking at it is 1 minus 0.05 and then multiply that by 100. So you get a 95. Now, the moment you see, 95% is the chance that there is a relationship between these two variables, profit and shipping cost. Do you think this is a strong, indication that there is some kind of relationship? So we're not yet saying that whether the relationship is weak or strong. We're only saying that do you think there is a relationship? If there are 95% chances that there's a relationship, would you say yes, there's a relationship between profit and shipping cost? Or would you say no, there's no relationship? Yes, the answer is yes, there is a relationship between profit and shipping costs. So all of you are absolutely right. But that was, the example I gave you was if it was 0.05. Now, let's say instead of 0.05, the p-value is 0.0001. So can someone convert this into a percentage? When you multiply this by 100, what do you get? You get kaboom 1, kaboom 2, you get 0.01%, which means that the relationship is 99.99%. Okay. So do you definitely now feel that there is a relationship between profit and shipping cost? There is, absolutely. It's like a confidence level, Digvijay. You're absolutely right. So we have answered the first question. Is there a relationship, guys, girls? Yes, there is a relationship. How confident are we that there's a relationship? I would say yes with the 3 S's, right? We are confident to the extent of how much percentage, guys, girls? 99.99%, because the p-value is 0.01. Okay, but the question is, sure, there's a relationship, okay, but is it, a relationship which is significant in predicting the dependent variable? So profit depends on shipping costs. We know that it does depend, there is a relationship, but how much does it depend is determined by this number, the R squared value. This number can go from 0 till 1. So the minimum can be 0, which means there's absolutely no impact on profit if shipping cost increases. The maximum can be 1, which is that if shipping cost increases, immediately there's a huge impact in profit, right? 100%, impact. Now this is called the coefficient of determination. Okay, I'm using some technical terms, guys. Don't you worry. Okay, it's nice and easy. In the course, I'll teach you. Coefficient of determination. Here we go. Okay, what does this mean? This tells you to what extent is a change in profit because of a change in shipping cost. So to what extent, or the other way of looking at it is, to what extent does a change in the shipping cost result in a change in the profit? Unfortunately, this is only 0.15. Now, can someone multiply 0.15 by 100 and tell me how many percentage points is that? Convert this to a percentage for me, please. Someone? Only 15%, right? Okay, only 15%. So if the shipping cost goes up, the chances that the profit is going to go down or going to change is only 15%. Now that's not a lot, okay? Because if you toss a coin, your chances are 50%, right? That you're going to win that toss. So 15% is not that impressive. So what do? What you do in the world of data science and analytics is you drop this model, okay? You drop it. You say that, profit is not low because of shipping cost. There is some other reason that we need to investigate. And that is the outcome of this particular little model or this exercise that we did. Cool. So I hope you guys, enjoyed understanding that a little bit there. And look, if you need to, sort of read this a little bit more, again, just go to free tutorials, and there's a nice tutorial on linear regression here for you. There we go. I'll put it in the presentation as well, so don't you worry. I'm sharing it here in the chat box as well. Digvijay says, really nice explanation. Wow, thank you. You've made my day. Okay. So I'd budgeted 1 hour and 30 minutes. We've got 8 or 9 minutes left, and some of you had questions. Okay. So before I go anywhere else, I wanted to ask you for a couple of favors. The best gift that you can give me is your honest feedback. So I'd love to make this webinar far more successful next time. And I've just shared a feedback form with just 2 or 3 questions, okay? So it just, first of all, it's got your email ID and name, which I will keep confidential. And even if I email you, I always keep an unsubscribe button. And I just want to know where you heard about us on the internet, and would you recommend this webinar to others? And why would you recommend it or not recommend it? How could I sort of be more knowledgeable, or how did you feel about the demos, presentations we shared, and how I can improve this webinar? So what I want you to do is just take a couple of minutes. Okay, it's just 3 questions. Fill up this feedback form and just submit this form for me. So I'll read through that. And those of you who enjoyed the webinar, we have our reviews on Facebook. As you can see, we rated 4.9 out of 5 on Facebook by all of our learners, right? So I'll just say Facebook reviews. And I post a lot of events on Facebook. So my request is, if you could like our page, if you would like to sort of attend some of our events, and if you could rate us 5 on Facebook, if you really enjoyed this webinar, I've just shared the link with all of you. I'd be really happy if you could like the page or rate us 5 on Facebook, right? Thank you. Now I'm going to just look at the feedback forms. Once you're done, please say done in the chat box so I know how many responses have come. Currently, I think you guys are filling the form, so I'm still waiting for you to say done once you've filled it. Oh, yeah. So how do you get the video in the presentation? Those who fill the feedback form here, in the feedback form, I've actually just collected your email address and your name. So I'll be sending across to you the PowerPoint. Okay, number 1. Apart from the PowerPoint, I'll be sending across to you the data for Tableau, right? I'll be sharing all the tutorials that I talked about today. Okay. And apart from the tutorials, I'm also going to share the video, right? And this will all be a web page on our website. So we'll create a web page for you, and you can get everything there. And on the same web page, you will get your discount links in US dollars, which is using PayPal. Okay, and the discount links will also be there for you to join the course. I can assure you that it's going to be a wonderful journey. Couple of important things, while you guys fill the feedback, two of you filled it up. Please request everyone to sort of fill it up. It's really important for me, and say done in the chat box once you fill the feedback. So we will learn how to identify problems. We will learn statistics right from the scratch in this course. Okay, you don't need to know anything. Okay, I will teach you each tool one by one, hands-on, and then take you deep into linear logistic regression. We're not doing time series. We'll be doing linear logistic regression, decision trees, social media sentiment analysis, market basket analysis, clustering, segmentation. We'll get in depth into Tableau. We'll be doing Tableau calculations. We'll be doing RFM segmentation for e-commerce, cohorts in Tableau. We'll be doing dashboards, story points. In Power BI, we'll be doing 3D video analytics. Okay, and we'll be learning how to use Power Pivot and Power Maps, some of the best tools in the world right now for video analytics, any day ahead of Tableau when I talk about 3D analytics. Okay, all of this, and then we've got projects in HR or banking or marketing, so you get a project with live data as well. So I have one live data set here in Tableau, live project that you'll work on. It's an e-commerce project. And then we have a capstone project, which is a wonderful German credit card data set or an HR data set for you, or a marketing data set. Okay, so that also is mentioned on your certification. Right. Okay, so Ivanshu has a specific question. I'm actually very happy to handle 957. Okay, I'm happy to handle your individual queries on WhatsApp. Okay, so people actually send me a lot of WhatsApp messages. I'll just share my number for WhatsApp chats, right? So there you go. I've just shared my WhatsApp number with you, and those of you who prefer email, if you have any questions, we also consult and we work on projects. So any technical questions, I know what help you need. I've just shared my email ID with you as well. If you have questions about the course, you can email me, or you can email us at contact@equiskill.com. We'll address all of those questions for you. And here we go. So I've got this at the end of the presentation as well. I've got the official email ID. If you want to write to me in person about your own personal issues and professional issues, not personal ones, just say amit@equiskill.com. And those are some of the perks of being a founder and CEO. You get to choose your first name as your email ID. All right, just kidding there. And I've got my WhatsApp number here as well for you. There you go. Great. Is it possible to do data cleaning in Tableau? Yes, Tableau has introduced a new data cleaning feature. And if you just talk about it here, Tableau data cleaning capability. In the recent release, Tableau has introduced data wrangling and data cleaning capability. There you go. So data prepping and data capability in Tableau, right? But I would say you're much better off, sometimes working in Power BI, okay, and cleaning your data in Excel, Power BI, or R, and then using it in Tableau. It may be a lot of learning for you to clean it in Tableau, okay? So a lot of people do that. They actually clean it in Excel or in R or in Python, and then they do advanced visualizations and data exploration in Tableau, right? All right, so Madhvi's done a feedback. Hey, Madhvi, it's great to see you again. And Joanne's just got a feedback in. Vishwa as well. Okay. Let me see how many feedbacks are in. So folks, I do need your feedbacks, because that's where I get the email IDs to sort of share, the recording, presentation, webinar. So I've got 14. I'm probably thinking there are 8 more that need to come in, right? So nine or 10 more to, in fact, that need to come in. Okay, Abhishek just filled his feedback. All right, thank you. Meanwhile, can I take some questions while you guys are filling up your feedback? Fangli, okay, time series analysis. Sure, Fangli, we can add time series for you in the course. Okay, so actually in Tableau you have exponential smoothing. So if I were to show you here, Fangli, you have forecasts here. There you go. So the forecast that you see in Tableau They're not time series, they're actually exponential smoothing technique, which is fairly popular. Okay, so we do cover that. There is one way of forecasting, and then you also have time series, right? So we can cover that briefly. I don't think that's a challenge. Yeah. Okay. Let me see if there's any more chat comments here while you guys fill your feedback. Any other questions? It's Vijay, not Vishwa. Okay, sorry. I saw Vishwa Teja R. Okay, thanks, Vijay. Diagnostic, are there any discussions on diagnostic analytics? So here's the thing, right? I think in healthcare, Howard, there's a lot of talk around using predictive analytics to detect diseases. Okay. So I think Pallab had something. Pallab, you had something around the onset of diabetes and do you have something on that now? Would you like to? Is there anything you can share? Any slide? So basically, right? And if you hang around, we can try to see if we can show you one medical data set. But the way it works is, can you predict things like the onset of a disease? Okay. And one of the most popular one, that you see a lot, Howard, is diabetes markers, right? So what are the markers for diabetes? For example, if you have darkening at the back of your neck, if you have a lot of warts, are those markers of diabetes? That's one. The other is, can you predict cancer? Okay, so I think there's a lot of work going into this. So can you use machine learning algorithms, because they see things that we don't, in order to predict cancer, right? For example, X-rays and more. So could you use ML or deep learning? Typically, how would you have things like the DCNN algorithm? Okay, I'll just give you the name of the algorithm. Okay, or other neural nets, right? Other neural networks. So these are kind of used, but even our humble logistic regression is used a lot, right? To predict onset or not, because see, essentially the question you're trying to answer is, will I or will this patient get diabetes or not? And the moment you kind of talk about that for a quick second, so will the patient get diabetes, which is yes, or not, which is no. So all of you know which algorithm will be used here, right? So you can easily use logistic regression, which is a classification algorithm. Now, what do I mean by classification? See, it classifies all of the, people or the patients into two buckets. The first bucket is those that the algorithm believes will get diabetes, and those that the algorithm believes will not get diabetes. Now, all of these algorithms that do this are known as classification algorithms. Okay. So next time when you heard classification, you know what that does. Okay. There you go. Now there are many more classification methods. One of them is, CNN or neural networks. So these can also classify the data. So those are some of the things that I shared, Howard. But there's also, a lot more going on. It's a very exciting field, medical diagnostics and analytics around that. So I hope this was, useful, Howard. All right. Let me see. There's another question from Navneet around IoT and analytics. Sure, I can talk about that, Navneet. Any algorithm for classification in Power BI? Power BI has, linear and logistic regression. Excel has everything you can imagine. Okay. All you need to do is see, if I were to open up Excel for you, it's surprisingly powerful actually. And whatever you have in Excel can be used in Power BI as well. So you have linear regression, logistic regression, exponential regression, polynomial regression. All of them are available in Power BI. Okay. So I actually can, I teach this in the course. So, but yeah, if I were to just show you very quickly, I think, let's say, if you go to the data analysis tool pack, right? So in the data analysis tool pack over here, you have data analysis. So you need to install this on your computer. Just give me a second while I show you. There we go. Yeah. So linear regression and all is all present over here in the data analysis tool pack. Okay. Now you click on this. And so you can do exponential smoothing, You can do correlation, covariance, right? Histograms, moving averages. So you've got regression here. Now, anything that is in Excel is there, mostly in Power BI. The reason is that I hope you're aware that Excel is the mom and Power BI is the kiddo. Okay, so Power BI evolved from Excel. That's how it happened. So the way it happened is even now in Excel you have Power BI add-ons. So for example, you have Power Pivot here. Power Pivot is a Power BI add-on in Excel. So it's a separate tool that you have to add as an add-in. So it's a Power BI add-in. Okay, and it opens in a different window. It does not open in Excel, right? Similarly, you've got when you go to the insert pane here, you've got 3D maps, you've got Power Maps, right? So Power Maps is also a Power BI add-in, and it does have analytics capabilities. Okay. Yes. So Ivanshu has a question. Power BI, does it have querying capabilities? For example, what's the sales between April and May for two customers, Mr. Doe and Mr. Clark? Yeah, it does. So there's something called Power Query, and this here is what you see is Power Maps. Okay, so you can do 3D visualizations in the world by using Power Maps, right? And you can even do videos. So we will teach you this in the course. It's fantastic. I mean, you can add map labels. You can look at every state. You can look at the sales in any state. You can do really exciting stuff. So I'll come to that later in the course. But you also have the inquire pivot over here, right? So let me just click on inquire. There you go. So you asked the question, you can do a lot of queries using Power Query. Okay. So the Power BI suite also has Power Query. Again, we can work this in Excel. So you don't have to install anything separately. And you can download Power Query for Excel over here. There you go. And in Power Query, you have all of the reporting capabilities that you just spoke of. Again, we'll be covering that in the course, Ivanshu. Okay. Right. So IoT. One of you had asked for IoT. So let me just talk about that for a quick second here. Yeah. So I was in G. So I just quickly probably just talk about IoT for a quick second. I'll just give you an example. I think more than anything else, I think an example would be handy. Okay, so you may have heard of centrifugal compressors, or you may have heard of gas turbines, right? So it's a, it's a device which for example, is a very big device, and it sort of generates power. Let's take, for example, a gas turbine generates power for an entire city, right? So let's take, for example, a 250 megawatt gas turbine, which can sort of give you power for a city like, let's say, let's just take the example of a small city, not a very large city. Let's say Dublin for a second, or Dublin is actually quite large. Okay, I'm going to go with something smaller. I'll go with Cork. I hope some of you have heard of Cork in Ireland. Okay, so I'll go with Cork in Ireland. There you go. Now, inside this gas turbine, there's a combustion chamber, right? So let me just represent it here by using CS, right? The combustion chamber. Now, inside the combustion chamber, you have obviously combustion going on, and this chamber degrades, right? So there are walls in the combustion chamber. You need to make sure that the condition of the combustion chamber is good. Otherwise, you will not, have a very good and very healthy gas turbine. And if that happens, if the gas turbine breakdowns, right? And that's a huge challenge, because then Cork will not have electricity. So how do you make sure? So you drill a hole in and you put something called a prognostic device, a PD, right? Now this prognostic device starts relaying data for each and every minute, each and every second, okay, for this gas turbine, and gives you dynamic IoT data, basically, on the condition of the chamber, okay? And you can use that data to figure out, do you need to maintain it? Do you need to stop the turbine and do a maintenance, or can you wait, okay, and do the scheduled maintenance 3 months later, right? And this can make a significant difference, isn't it? And if you delay the maintenance by 3 months, you can save money as well. Okay, so you can maintain it later. So this is one application of IoT that I can sort of share with you. There are many others, okay, but probably I just thought I'd share one application of IoT with you. Okay, super. Yes, absolutely. So Howard shared even more examples, right? So telecommunication in IT deployment, sensors on wireless towers. I just talked about a prognostic device, Howard, which is a sensor in a centrifugal compressor or gas turbine, and telematics. There you go. So many applications. Okay. Cool. Is there anyone who forgot to fill the feedback? Let me just go and check very quickly before we close out for the day. I think we've got 16, and I think the 16 people is pretty good. I'm happy with that. If anyone else is still filling it, please do submit. And I hope some of you sort of enjoyed the webinar. Now, you'll find me on Quora.com. So let me just share my profile on Quora. So here's me. And I blog a lot on analytics. If you look at the most viewed writers globally, with your support, I'm currently at number 3 in the world. So I got lucky for the time being. And I'd love to stay connected with you. A lot of people follow the articles that I write. So what I can do here is I can just share my Quora profile. If some of you would like to just sort of follow me. Ivanshu says, great session. Thank you, Howard. You too. Stay blessed. Fang Lee, thanks a lot. It's good to see you guys again and again. Howard, Fang Lee, fantastic. All right. So here's my Quora profile. I've just shared it. And you might want to just go there and just sort of hit the follow button. And I'll be sure to follow you as well. That's one. The other piece is I could stay in touch with you on LinkedIn. So those of you friends who would love to stay in touch on LinkedIn, why don't we just stay connected there? Yeah. Let me just see here if I can pull up my profile on LinkedIn. There we go. Same old me. And I'll share it in the chat box. So I'd love to stay connected. Okay. There you go. Please shoot me your invites. I'll accept and we can stay connected there as well. I really enjoyed the session and I want to thank you all for your time today's webinar. I think we're just closing a couple of minutes ahead of time. I'm sorry, after time. So I think I want to thank you for extending by a few minutes for today's webinar. It does mean a lot to me, I think. Okay, great. Bye-bye. We'll see you all next week. Sunday is the first class of the course. You're all welcome actually to join the first class, and we have a discount running till Friday, I think, or through till Saturday. So please do take full advantage. I have a 30-day refund policy on the course, no questions asked wherever you are in the world. And apart from that, we have a flexi pass, which means you're entitled to join 2 batches. In case you miss a class, you have recordings, and apart from the recordings, you're also eligible to join another batch. So you have access from now onwards, which is June, all the way till July, August, September, and first week of October. You have all those 4 months of access to keep joining the classes and complete your learning process. I think a lot of us invest on mobile phones. You buy a new phone and you feel good about it, but I think in a year it starts to feel old. If you invest in your learning, I think you'll feel good about it for 10 years for sure. On that note, goodbye. I'm going to close the session now. Bye-bye.